Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another fabulous discussion in the woods in the rain, which is why I'm under this wooden structure. Anyway, in all things well-being. So my name is Dr. Kimberly Quinn, and I am here to help people become the boss of their minds, the boss of their brains. Interchangeable, sort of. And because remember, thoughts come first and feelings come second. So thoughts dictate our lives. And this is why we need to control them and allow, like gatekeepers, what comes in. Because we don't allow angry, sad, or rejected thoughts in, we're not going to feel angry, sad, and rejected. I mean, it's just like basic. It's that simple. Not that easy, but that simple. Okay, so today we are going to talk about, don't tread on me, right? The importance of boundary setting. And there's lots out there in boundary setting. And still, I think that when we give our own spin on it, it can be more meaningful. I know that for me because I've been doing a whole lot of work on myself. And sometimes somebody will say something and then somebody says like the same thing, but then a whole different person says the same thing and it clicks for some reason. Maybe it's because of their, experiences. So boundary setting, people get it so confused with it's about, like separation or division or something. And what it really is, it's about respect. Brene Brown talks about this too. Lots of people, Oprah, all the great ones, talk about this. And I think, again, we can relate it to ourselves. It can make it that much more meaningful. So obviously we're all connected, and as divine creatures, we're all connected. However, within that collective connection, we're also, separate people. And when there's injury early on, that boundary can be blown through. So my backstory, obviously. So what goes on when we have difficulty setting boundaries in our adult life, most likely, let's say, I usually say often, not always, to my students, is that something's happened when you were a child. So it's not what's wrong with me, it's what happened to me. And I really think it's important to say that because I'm on the anti-shame campaign. So if it's not enough, we're already walking around feeling like a doormat, right? And nobody likes doormats. They're not attractive. We put this energy thing out there. Go ahead, take advantage of me. So, and we're aware of this, right? And so the idea is not to then make someone who's having difficulty knowing their own personal boundaries to feel badly. That's not the idea. It's about awareness. Awareness is good. It's about drawing attention in a good way to what can be worked on. And so now, and also with the trauma thing, it's thankfully the language is starting to change with what's the matter with them, right, to what's happened to them. So as you know, for me, as far as physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, I had all three of those experiences. So I have to say, without question, as bad as all three of those things are, it was definitely the words that did the most damage. And also the absence of words. So kind of like when I finally, I think I was 16 or maybe 15, I don't remember. When I finally told my parents about that extended family member who had been sexually violating me from the age of 6 through the end of 8th grade, they did nothing. So the absence of word, like legal action, would have been like a pretty strong I love you message, protective, that's what parents are supposed to do. That didn't even come up. But there were no words at all, like words, just that this happened, get a counselor. And so that's kind of like the extreme end. But if you've been, obviously we can be violated physically, we can be violated with words, we can be violated silently, like I just explained to you, and even on a lesser level. And again, life is a spectrum. Rarely is it here or here, right? So we could have been invalidated early on as a child, and invalidated is horrible. It's got the same VAL for value, right? So there's a effect on our feeling value. So invalidation tends to be more passive, right? And when it starts to become more active, then it's an actual devaluing, which, as you know, I had the whole kind of spectrum of that. So when that happens early on, we learn as kids to kind of tap dance and change, become shapeshifters, like in Harry Potter, or chameleons. I'm out in the woods right now, so the chameleons change their color based on what they're sitting on, right? And so little kids learn very early on to acquire this. It's not love, it's really approval, but we're struggling to get anything, right? So we move around mom or dad and whomever, and we figure out ways. Obviously children don't have language for this, they're just sort of doing it. We figure out what we need to do to acquire good feelings. We need to, and so that's when this, the false stuff starts to take shape. And again, we talked about in the last video that the ego is the authentic self's evil twin, right? We're all born into this world out of our mother's womb. We don't like the visual maybe, as these beautiful, wet babies. And we have this feeling of original worthiness. We're born into this world, all of us, with that feeling of original worthiness. We are valued, we are okay, we are enough exactly as we are, just fresh out of that newborn bath and wrapped up in our little blankie. We are enough. And then something happens, thereafter, sometimes shortly thereafter, that starts to chip away at this feeling of original worthiness. And this is where some of the issues with feeling devalued, not feeling our worth, and having lots of difficulty setting boundaries later kind of happens. So boundary setting is healthy, very, very, very healthy, obviously. And I think I mentioned that Brene Brown's big on her research that she talks about when she studied some of the most compassionate people, that the compassionate people had really great boundaries set. And this is because they value themselves, so they can therefore be in a place to value other people. We can't value or accept or love other people if we don't value and accept and love ourselves. I mean, I think we all know that. And no one's saying it's easy. Is it simple as far as the formula for it? Yes. Is it easy? No one said that, especially since the stuff that happens earlier on is in the vault, right? The unconscious. And so really a boundary setting is about sort of making a choice to not abandon yourself any further. Because I tell you, this took me years, and I'm still working on it to a degree. I've been working on it for years, so I'm pretty good with it. But I still get reminders when I do something or say something like, oh my gosh, seriously? And so it's about, so most of us, if you've had that experience as a child, you're terrified of abandonment. Anyone who's been sexually abused has been abandoned, even if the person's around, obviously, because they abandoned your trust, betrayed your trust. Physical abuse, same thing, abandoned, and there's a gamut of emotional things that can be said where you may have been abandoned. So we're terrified of that excruciating, sinking feeling in our stomach of not feeling okay, not feeling wanted and loved. And so we learned to shape shift and be chameleons in order to make that happen. So then when we enter us as, well, not enter, but move along to us as adults, and we're still doing that in the workplace and with friends. And really what happens is we eventually get to a place where we kind of, hopefully, choose to stop abandoning ourselves. And when we set boundaries, this is a very clear message that I'm here and you're there, and that's your stuff. So even if somebody is really pushing you to come to a social thing, this doesn't even have to be deep. They want you to come to a lunch. They want you to come to a meeting that's social. They want you to come to a whatever. And maybe you protected your Sunday, or you protected something, and it's not good for you. Maybe you're wiped out from work. Maybe you just did a long drive to somewhere for the a few day getaway or something, and you just don't want to do it. And then if we dare say that, politely, it's just I would like to, it's not good for me. I'm tired, or I just don't want to do it even. And if they get upset, it's because us being at the thing has them feeling good. And okay, and that's fine. No one's judging them with that. However, that's about them feeling good, not about us. And if it isn't good for you, it isn't good for you. So if they can't understand that, it's kind of like tough nuts, I mean, it's just, that's how it is if they can't understand. And also when we do set boundaries, and it's maybe been a while, maybe our whole lives since we set boundaries, you might find that some people get upset. And realize this, that the only people who are going to get upset are the people who benefited from you not having the boundaries in the first place. So just realize that, like, whoa, what's with this self-care thing? What's with this valuing and respecting yourself? Because that's what boundaries say. And they don't like it because it affects their lifestyle. That's what's really going on. And especially, I just thought of it at this minute, since I'm out in the woods. Think of the skunk. The skunk is such the ideal role model for boundaries. You get anywhere near a skunk, what do? They spray you. Back off. Don't tread on me. Getting a little too close to my skunk family. Maybe you're just getting too close to me. Maybe I was trying to have a nice little lunch for myself on some berries in the woods and wanted some solo skunk time, and you're right there. Okay? And they'll let you know pretty darn quickly And so once we learn to set the boundaries too, we give off this inner energy that we are valuing ourselves, and people learn pretty quickly. And we're not being rude. No one's saying that we're being rude. We are being polite and respectful. And if they keep at it, like, oh, come on, come on, come on. And even if it's under with the smile and the nice and all that, because they're not used to you setting boundaries, they'll adjust, trust me. But remember that that is about them feeling good. So here's the thing. With the lack of boundary setting, really we're talking about the codependent behavior. This is all codependent behavior. We're not valuing ourselves and looking for the approval from other people by doing what they want us to do, even if it's under the guise of go to a movie and dinner, it's whatever. It's all seems like good stuff, that it's coming from that place of not feeling valued on the inside. This is very important. So we make that shift. And we get good at, that's your stuff, not my stuff. You might even have to say that. So there can be tension here, right? So here's the thing. I know I can actually remember feeling the tension and just being like, oh no, I upset somebody. And sometimes it's guilt, like I hurt their feelings. And if we're really, truly honest with ourselves, that's some of the time. I don't think that's most of the time. I think most of the time we get that sinking, horrible feeling in the pit of our stomach that we are not in their good graces. And that's the big motivator to get us to trade some nice for their approval. Okay, all right, fine, it's not good for me, and then you're the hero because you weren't going to do it, now you are going to do it, right? And you traded some nice for some approval, and that can be a huge dope fix for someone who's not feeling worthy and not feeling enough, even though it's not healthy, right? So that's also, we can separate the difference between nice and kind, because nice isn't authentic. It isn't. Kind is authentic, extending that genuine kindness to somebody, but that niceness in the sense of just trading nice for approval, that's just all ego-seduced crap is what it is, for lack of a better way to say it. And I know I'm sort of committed to keeping these short, so we're not done with this one, okay? So we want the importance of setting boundaries. Don't tread on me. And remember, if you're coming into that awareness, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. The fact that you're watching the video is great news, because that means you're on the track to authenticity. And we're going to get more into nice versus kind again, because we're not really done yet. And then sort of talking about the compassion that's really involved with boundaries. It's not like a hard brick wall, stay away from me. No, it's not like that. It's about us, not them. I'm respecting myself now. I realize it's been a lot of years, and maybe you're not used to it, but I am in my frame, as Aaron Doughty likes to say. I'm in my frame. I'm not in your frame, and this isn't good for me. That's how it is. Okay, and that's a good place to end. We will do another one. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont in the very wet, beautiful woods. Have a mindful day.